So my name is Yas. Thank you for joining my session early in the morning. I'm honored to give the very first talk at DrupalCon Singapore. So let me start by introducing myself. So my name is Yas. I'm a chief architect of cloud working at a Silicon Valley office of a Japanese mobile operating company. So my expertise is cloud, DevOps, and agile software development. I've been involved in Drupal community for 20 years. So let me talk a little about the background of this session. So this is what we are developing. We have built Cloud Orchestrator as an open source project based on Drupal. So you can search Drupal Cloud Orchestrator. So this is one-stop portal which is capable to manage multiple clouds such as AWS, Kubernetes, OpenStack, VMware, and Terraform. So this is today's agenda. First, I will talk about the development model. And second, what Behat for BDD, which stands for Behavior-Driven Development. Third, templating for Behat test scenarios. And lastly, automate testing for BDD. So before I dive into BDD, let me start with software development model. To understand the position of design, coding, and testing, I'll introduce this V model for SDLC, which stands for Software Development Lifecycle, because it is easy to explain about the relationships among design, coding, and testing phases. The software development starts with getting business requirements from our customer and also systems requirements, and then we can move on to software component design. Actually, thanks to Drupal core framework, I do believe that we can design the component architecture with our minimum effort. After that, we proceed with function design, then coding. On the other side of the design phases, we have unit testing, integration testing, system testing, and acceptance testing. Those design and testing phases correspond each other like this. This is V model. So we handle TDD, which stands for Test-Driven Development at the bottom portion. BDD aims systems requirements as a system testing. ATDD, which stands for Acceptance Test-Driven Development, covers business requirements. We have a couple of testing types, such as TDD, BDD, and ATDD. So in Drupal, PHPUnit, as known as simple test, covers unit testing and integration testing. We can achieve BDD by Behat and Drupal extension that I explain from now on. I think you could understand the position of TDD and BDD. So let us dive into BDD. First of all, let me show the PHPUnit code like this. So do you understand what's going on this code? Can you read this one? But on the other hand, this is BDD test scenario code. The same question in the previous slide. Do you figure out what this BDD test scenario code will do? So we can read and understand the test scenario because it is written in our English language, not programming code. The point is, once we write the test scenario in our natural language, like English, Behat runs the scenario as written in the code. This is the beauty of BDD. The learning curve is not so steep to learn about how to write a test scenario. So non-tech people, like our product owner or product manager, can also read and review the test scenario. So one of our team members who has non-technical background, actually her major is digital art. She is joining our Cloud Orchestration project development and helping us to write BDD test scenarios. Remember the V model of SDLC? So actually, we can convert business requirements or system requirements such as user stories to BDD test scenarios as it is like this. So what's Behat? The short answer is that we can test our website by virtual browser by using Behat command. Here is the long answer in detail. Behat is the test suite framework for BDD, which consists of several components. In Behat, we have feature file that is a set of test scenario written by so-called Gherkin syntax. And we install some extensions to support Drupal and Drush and browser testing by web drivers. So we will use some extensions for Drupal web testing. The Behat command invokes web driver for Chromium web browser, and Chrome driver calls the native API of headless browser, which means a virtual browser without any GUI. So this headless browser is actually just a process on operating systems. And then this virtual browser accesses to the actual website for AUT, application under test site. In our case, we are developing Cloud Orchestrator, so we want to test our live Cloud Orchestrator site by Behat command with Chromium headless browser. So how we can write the Behat BDD test scenario? So let us move on to Gherkin syntax. So Gherkin is widely used in a variety of programming languages other than Behat in PHP, like Python, Ruby, or Java in BDD. Starting from keyword feature, on the top of this test scenario that we call a feature file, describe the overview of this test scenario. And then starts keyword scenario, writing actual commands to access to the website. Like log into anonymous user. This is a natural language in English. With the keyword given, I'm not logged in. When I visit /clouds, then I should be on /user/login URL. And I should see the login header. So when we start the keyword given, it represents the initial state and the condition of test scenario. Starting a keyword when, it makes Behat take the actual action to the virtual browser. The keyword then and check the expected results. So we understood how to write the test scenarios by Gherkin syntax. It is very so easy. Then soon I had a question. Can I use parameters? Because the test scenario looks static. We want to give some variables into our test scenarios. The answer is yes. By starting with the keyword scenario outline, we can give the variable parameters into test scenario like this. The green bracket keywords, like a role and verb, are the placeholder corresponding to the table header column below. This one, role, verb, code, and heading in green. So in this example, there are 3 rows in a table in blue. So that Behat will repeat this test scenario 3 times by changing values of the placeholders automatically, because we add 3 lines in the table in blue. So Behat can repeat this test scenario by changing the variable with filling out the blue values. So then, my next question came up. How it works by natural language? Actually, Mink extension and Drupal extension PHP libraries working with Behat command defines a certain programming logic in PHP like this, behind the scene. The trick is that the method header, shown in green, includes the keyword given with the @ symbol and sentence in this example. Behat analyzes comment header in green of the PHP code, and then Behat processes 2 files together. One is test scenario called the feature file by Gherkin syntax, like a natural language. The other one is this kind of the PHP code behind the scene as a programming logic, like this. So here is the example of associating with the parameter in the sentence and the variable in the code. We can include a parameter as the placeholder in the sentence, and the logic can take over the parameter as the variable into the function method arguments. In this slide, the column name here, parameter is mapped to the variable below, the $name. So we can even define the sentence using regular expression. Maybe you have a quick question. Do we need to write a PHP testing code in each conditions, actions, and assertions? So thanks to Mink extension and Drupal extension PHP libraries for Behat, we don't have to write this kind of lots of PHP code, because those extensions already define most of major operations for the web access, such as input text field, turn on checkbox, click a link, and so on. So we can use Behat out of box. Here is a list of the predefined scenario definition. We already have 150 predefined definitions. However, I wasn't satisfied with the scenario outline scheme because we need to give the hard-coded parameters into the table in a scenario outline. So what if we want to put credential, such as a username and a password or API token, into our test scenario? In that case, can we publish our test scenario as an open source in Drupal.org with the credential? The answer is no. So we decided to develop the preprocessor of the test scenarios based on twig template. We developed the preprocessor for twig templating for feature files by using our custom drush command, double brackets, like this in red, which are shown in red. In the slide, we will be replaced into some values from a separate YAML files. We developed the templating preprocessor. So, okay, it looks we prepared everything that we need. So let me explain how we automated. So first, we built our Docker container as a BDD testing client. It downloads our Cloud Orchestration source code, including the test scenario template. Our team could publish our test scenarios without placing our own credential to access to our backend system such as AWS or Kubernetes because these are just twig templates. So we run the Docker container and it runs the preprocessor of templating by drush command. First, it reads YAML files which contains parameter mapping that we stored on our local file system for such as a credential or secrets, and then replace double bracket variable in twig template to the actual values defined in the YAML files. So generate the actual feature files into the specified directory. Now we can run Behat command. In our case, we run behat.sh command, which also kicks Chromium headless virtual browser. So the Behat executes the BDD test based on synthesized features files, and we can get the output. Now, we want to automate the test process for daily automated testing. So we are using GitLab CI/CD pipeline. We have already done with our automated testing for TDD. Thanks to Drupal community, we can test our code on Drupal.org every time we push the code. But we want to have the same one like automated testing system on Drupal.org because in the past, unfortunately, we faced some problem that the automated testing in Drupal.org had been broken that stopped our development. So we built exactly the same CI/CD pipeline like Drupal.org by using private GitLab repository in our project. So by the way, I will show you the architecture basics of GitLab CI/CD pipeline. We have the developers in our team, and GitLab CI/CD pipeline consists of two parts. One is GitLab Master, hosted by GitLab as a software as a service. The other one is GitLab Runners. GitLab Master has a GitLab repository, and it has the functionality of CI/CD pipeline. GitLab CI/CD pipeline system involves GitLab Runners to process a certain test. So we can set up multiple GitLab runners like this diagram. GitLab runners are, in other words, those are workers. In that way, we can run our test parallelly. Therefore, we can schedule multiple test scenarios independently at the same time. Also, GitLab has its own container registry like Docker Hub. When a developer pushes the code to the GitLab repository, the GitLab CI/CD pipeline detects the repository state and event that is the source is published, for example. And GitLab CI/CD pipeline pulls a container from container registry as the testing environment, including Behat test suites. And then deploy the container to each runners, then start the tests parallelly. So here is our actual deployment diagram using Amazon EC2 for GitLab runners. Also, test results is notified to our Slack channel. So how we can build a CI/CD pipeline? Very simple. Just to describe the pipeline definition in one YAML file like this. Then put that file to the root directory on your branch. That is the story of our automation. So here is lessons that we learned. We forked Drupal extension and adding our own custom actions for the scenarios, such as login process, take a screenshot in case of the test failures. test for table loads, assertion of success status messages. So these are what we implemented because the functionalities were not enough based on the existing Behat extension libraries. So here is known issues and solutions. If you are interested in handling those issues, please let us discuss on offline. So in the last part of my presentation, I'll give you where to find our solutions. So basically, our scripts to automate Behat is including our cloud module in Drupal.org. And our custom Drupal extension is open to our GitHub repository. So also, please visit our websites and learn about the Cloud Orchestrator. And also, subscribe our YouTube channel. So please contact me if you want to use Cloud Orchestrator in your project or organization to manage AWS, Kubernetes, OpenStack, VMware, whatever. Any development contributions are welcome at Cloud Orchestrator project on Drupal.org. So also, I gave a talk about the AI-driven code review at DrupalCon Portland last May this year. So if you'd like to learn more the underlying technologies, please search and watch the YouTube video, by the way. So titled, Automate, Integrate, Innovate, AI-powered GitLab CI for Drupal module development, if you are interested in. So that's all. Thank you for listening to my presentation.